Hey everybody, welcome back to Free to Grow. Thank you for watching, thank you for being here. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel to follow along on our journey. Today we are going to talk about a little bit of advice that someone gave us, or maybe we heard it on a YouTube video, probably more likely. And that is to be patient and to observe your property. Um, so if you're moving to a new homestead or looking for some new property, someone told us to be patient and watch it through every season. So when I'm going to add to that, when we got the offer to come to our new homestead and live here, we knew that we wanted more property because we had begun homesteading where we were. So I'm going to add to that to do what you can where you are and kind of start this lifestyle and make sure that it's a good fit for you, because it is a different way of living. And just like anything else, it takes preparation, it takes time, it takes effort, and it never stops. Every year you're going to be raising more animals, doing another garden, tapping more maple trees for syrup, and I don't know, it's just not for everybody. And I think I've learned that as we have shared the joy that it's brought us. So when we moved here last year, this pasture behind the house was really overgrown, and we ended up having Rob kind of clean up the fence line, and we knew that we wanted to get things cleaned up so we could grow good grass here. We weren't sure what animal we were going to add with so much new pasture, but we knew that the pasture wasn't in great shape. And actually, a tornado came through this area right behind the pasture, so there's a lot of trees down. But we ended up having to bush hog the pasture behind the house, and actually out in front of the house that's on the other side of the driveway. There had just been too much overgrowth, and so we started with that. And then throughout the summer, I insisted that we just keep mowing and try to get the pasture, the grass back growing healthy. Rob wanted to add animals last year, and I just was kind of adamant that we keep working at the health of the pasture and look forward to the following year to maybe add a couple of steers, and that would be this year. We have been looking into that. But last year we did add hogs to the homestead for the first time, so we raised 2 pigs out on pasture, and they ended up being in the pasture back behind the house that you were seeing there in the beginning. And that worked out really well. We were trying to get them to the woods, and it just, they grew so fast. They were feeder pigs. They just grew so fast that we never actually got them into the woods. We had to start rotating them back towards where we were going to be butchering them. And it worked out well. I mean, they really liked being in the pasture. We did have to keep them cool with a shelter, and Rob gave them, like a hose bath on the hot sunny days multiple times a day. But they were happy pigs. They had a good life here on pasture, and now they're in our freezer, sustaining us. So this is a flower bed that we let grow. We let everything grow last year, and we just observed through spring, summer, fall, and winter to see if there was any purpose, or just where the wet spots were in the yard and things like that. And this, they have an outhouse, the people that built the house. They put this outhouse, it's not functional. It's right in the middle of this flower bed that's like at the entrance up to the house. And they had pavers lining this flower bed, and I don't know, there was just a bunch of briars growing in it. And one of my biggest pet peeves is areas that aren't serving a purpose and aren't functional. I couldn't get in here to weed because there was poison ivy, and I'm really allergic. It just spreads like wildfire when I get it. So we took the opportunity in the winter here to get all the pavers out, and we just mowed everything down. And that way we can see if there is any, growth underneath of that. I know it's a flower bed, so I do think that having beautiful areas serve a purpose. I do think that it's good to have beautiful things. I think that it's good for the heart and the mind and the soul. So it does serve a purpose. But like I said, you couldn't see any of the possible flowers or greenery here. And so we just decided, hey, if nothing else, we'll mow it down and get this maple tree opened up here, this tiny maple that they planted that's doing really well. And that made me happy because those briars were like as tall as us. So anyways, like I said, we were patient and we observed this flower bed for a year. That may seem kind of silly, but I do think that it's been really good advice for me to just watch the land in order to work with it instead of trying to shape it to work for you. I think that just learning what the land wants to do and what it wants to be used for, what it's best used for, is purposeful, and it's easier in the long run. So this is another one of the flower beds that was here. There's lots of yard ornaments. I'm not a big fan of yard ornaments. As you can see, they've got a cow and a rooster here. I'd rather have a real cow and rooster and be able to just mow around this space instead of trying to waste time and energy weeding it. So that's going to be another flower bed I think we're going to take out. Okay, so here you can see this is the pasture behind the house. So this is this last winter. This is after we bush hogged it and mowed it and had pigs in it all summer. And it's looking so much better. And actually last year, we went ahead and put a small garden in next to the existing chicken coop that was here. And as you can see, we've got the Premier One net around it. So we did put the garden in, but we thought it doesn't have to stay here. We just want it to be functional. So we tried it out there. It was close to the chickens. We ended up getting them out of that chicken coop because it was so wet. It's really a horrible spot for a chicken coop, actually. But the garden did okay. It's actually a very wet spot for a garden, too. So we learned a lot. We didn't put a lot of time and effort into it. It's the most important thing, or money. And now this year, we know that we want to build some raised beds for better drainage, and that we want to keep the chickens moving on pasture because they got unhealthy pretty quickly being stationary in that chicken coop area, that just the outside run just was never dry, no matter how many wood chips we put in it. So another thing that we did was we marked trees. And for us, this was just a bit of preparation for the following year. We had to mark the maple trees while the leaves were still on because we don't know how to identify them in the winter. And Rob got a ton of briars on him, but we had so much fun our first year on this property, and we didn't get to it all. We have so much that we want to do, but I still think that the advice of being patient and observing your land is so valuable. So I encourage you all to do that. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment below. Let us know if you have any questions or what you've done on your homestead. Have a great day.
Our hearts beat to the city streets. We began to feel the fire. We rise like tall buildings as the chemicals, they take us higher.